a freshman elementary education major from the Eastern Shore of Virginia.
My name is Terry Coleman. I'm a freshman political science major on a pre-law track from North New Jersey.
My name is Christopher Moore. I'm a political science major, sociology minor from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
My name is Wesley Payne, criminal justice major from Medford, New Jersey.
My name is Malcolm Lott, journalism major, cinema studies minor from Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Climate change, is it that serious?
And today we are going to discuss how climate change correlates with political gains and pitfalls. What is climate change, you might ask? It is any long-term change in the Earth's climate or in the climate of a region or a city. On a biological scale, changes in climate can affect many aspects of where and how people, plants, and animals live. What may cause Earth's climate to change? Some scientists believe it comes from the burning of coal, oil, and gas. And then some scientists think that burning can't even be explained by nature alone. So let's look back in time. In 1979, the first World Climate Conference took place in what was considered the first global recognition of the human being's role in climate change. In 1988, the United Nations informs the Panel on Climate Change, which brought awareness about the impacts of climate change on a global scale. When we look at climate change in politics, we need to understand what climate change is and how it impacts the community and political world as a whole. As you may know, the media plays a vital role between the correlation of climate change and politics.
Media is and has become the #1 source of entertainment. It's our job to persuade and influence one's thoughts and emotions. So how does climate change correlate to this detailed topic? Let's take a look at this clip of The Simpsons and find out.
Gee, Lisa, looks like tomorrow I'll be shoveling 10 feet of global warming.
Global warming can cause weather at both extremes, hot and cold.
I see, so you're saying warming makes it colder. Well, aren't you the queen of crazy land? Everything's the opposite of everything. La-di-da-di-da. I'm Lisa Simpson. La-di-da-di-da.
Really? Really?
So I know what you're thinking. What does The Simpsons have to relate to climate change? In a literary sense, this is considered foreshadowing and the use of humor to explain real-world issues. In this case, it's climate change. But that is not the only type of media that shows the issues of climate change. Dozens of movies were created to show the effects of climate change and how their idea of how detrimental it can become. There are 3 specific movies that detail what exactly our world can become if actions do not happen. 2012, Mad Max Fury Road, and A Day After Tomorrow. So let's start with the most recent, Mad Max Fury Road. This film is based on a post-apocalyptic Earth in which 3/4 of the Earth's water has completely dried up. This can be an ideal America or world if we do not realize the effects of global warming. Second, we have 2012. This movie was released on November 13, 2009. This movie brought attention to everyone on a global scale, showing how the Earth's taking a detrimental toll. As you can see here in this select scene of the movie, you see gigantic waves and tremendous earthquakes, which brought the world attention that this can happen anywhere at any time. And another question, are we really prepared for global climate disasters? And lastly is The Day After Tomorrow. This film is another example of how climate change and global warming come into play. In this following scene, we have the Earth completely covered in snow. So what does this mean? It means that these films have shown how climate change was detrimental in their world, which in this case is our world. Although movies and TV shows show examples of climate change,
It has affected the political world for the presidents and presidential candidates.
In 2000, the issue of global warming was right in everyone's face. Al Gore is a huge supporter of global warming, but how did his opponent, President Bush, feel on the subject matter? In a quote, President Bush said, "It's an issue that we need to take very serious. I don't think we know the solution to global warming yet. We need more facts." He also continued to state, "Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of different opinions, and before we act, I think it's best to have a full understanding of what's taking place." Bush has constantly thought to undermine the views held by the vast majority of climate scientists that human-caused emissions of carbon dioxide and other heat-trapping gases are making a contribution to global warming. Documents exist that support the position that Bush tried to manipulate the work of federal climate scientists because he did not want them to talk to the media about this important issue.
One of the biggest political figures that have ever been involved in the environmental movement is former Vice President Al Gore. As a freshman congressman, Gore held the first congressional hearing on climate change. Gore believes that the climate change is something that is man-made, and because of that, man can play a significant role in order to make sure that it is eliminated in the future. The political impact of climate change has affected the influence in political campaigns. Gore believed that global warming is real, which is something that many people on the right, the GOP, try to deny, even though there is scientific evidence to prove otherwise. In 2006, Al Gore released a film called The Inconvenient Truth, which raised public awareness of the dangers of global warming and calls for immediate action to curb its destructive effects on the environment. For his environmental activism, he received the Nobel Peace Prize in 2007.
January 2007, on the campaign trail, McCain stated that we need to learn more about climate change and the dangers of not taking action on this important environmental issue. McCain believed that the science tells us that action had to be taken, but unlike President Obama, McCain did not feel like it was the most crucial problem facing the United States. McCain planned to solve this issue through the use of nuclear power. He believed it was safe and would eventually create more jobs. Senator McCain also wanted to use technology to help solve this problem. He also supported tax breaks for people using renewable energy sources such as wind and solar power. In the 2008 and 2012 election, ran against two candidates who had very different views on global warming. In the 2008 election, when Republican Senator John McCain ran against now President Obama, he believed that climate change was a real issue. Even before the election, in 2003, McCain introduced the first climate bill to Congress that would have reduced carbon emissions by power stations.
On the other hand, in the 2012 election, Governor Mitt Romney ran against President Obama for the Commander-in-Chief. Romney summarized his views on the climate change by saying, "I think it's getting warmer. 2, I believe we contribute to it. And 3, I don't know how much, a lot or a little. And so I am not willing to adopt multi-trillion-dollar programs to reduce greenhouse gases in America. They don't call it America warming, they call it global warming." So essentially, Romney acknowledged that climate change was a problem. However, he thought it was not the United States that had to work on it. Instead, he thought that the United States should not spend money to stop CO2 emissions because Romney believed that the United States did not have enough information on what caused the Earth to warm. He believed this enough, though the scientific consensus was that humans were primarily responsible for the Earth warming.
That brings us to today. Tensions were high in America, and the political climate was more divided now than ever along lines like race, gender, and class. However, the presidential candidates have overlooked climate change in this election, even though it is one of the most pressing and polarizing issues of our time. The two candidates had the exact opposite positions on climate change. Donald Trump believed the concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make the U.S. manufacturing non-competitive. He also believes in removing the U.S. from the Paris Agreement, which is a universal goal that President Obama signed with the UN with the goal of lowering carbon emissions, investing in clean energy, and curbing deforestation. Hillary believes in upholding the Paris Agreement and enacting policies to reverse the effects of climate change. However, she believes in fracking, which is a way of getting natural gas out of shale rock by drilling into the ground. This releases the chemical methane, which is harmful to the environment and further increases climate change. Still, with that in mind, Hillary has a much better stance on climate change because at least she acknowledges its existence and has concrete policies to reverse it in her platform. Climate change was mentioned once and received about 88 seconds of airtime in the debates. Most of the debates were centered around controversy and personal attacks, but not on an issue that affects our planet as a whole. Now that the presidential election is over, the American people have spoken, and we have a new president-elect, Donald Trump. The impending effects on climate change under a Donald Trump presidency would be disastrous. His 5 plans include dismantling the Environmental Protection Agency, reopening shuttered coal mines, pulling out of the Paris Agreement, approving the Keystone XL pipeline, and reducing investment in clean energy. If enacted, these policies will be detrimental to the cause for climate change. Climate change scientists have proposed these solutions to alleviate the effects of climate change. Number 1, letting go of fossil fuel and natural gas dependence. Number 2, investing in cleaner energy, sunlight, wind, and biofuels. And number 3, stop cutting down so many trees and begin to recycle. However, if you want to personally help the cause, you don't have to wait for the government to enact policies to stop climate change. You can make a difference by buying energy-efficient products, conserving energy at home and at work, planting trees, reduce, reuse, and recycle. And also you can make wiser choices in terms of transportation, like riding a bicycle instead of driving a car. These are some of the things you can do personally that will help the cause. And now, the overwhelming evidence and the consensus among scientists shows that
yes, it is as serious.